네, 안녕하세요. 제 이름이 이한올이고 이제 고등학교 생활 마치면서 대학 생활 들어갈 생각인데 근데 고등학교 생활을 되돌아보면서 희망에 대해서 한 프레젠테이션을 만들어 봤어요. 3단계로 분석해보면서 봐봅시다. Oh, you didn't get that? Well, of course you didn't. I was speaking Korean to you. Of course, if you are a Korean audience, then you probably understood that. But the whole point of that was to get you to think it's frustrating, right? I like to call it miscommunication. When I say something to you and you don't understand this thing I'm saying, it all happens. It happens in your workplace. It happens in your projects, whatever. But imagine this. Let's add this. You don't know the language at all, and you walk into a room, and 24/7, you don't know a single thing anybody's saying. Just picture that. Well, that was me exactly 9 years ago. Now, before we move on, let's do a proper introduction. My name is Haneol, or John, and I'm an immigrant from South Korea, currently an Olympia High School student and will be attending Vanderbilt University next year. Now, going back to my immigration. I immigrated here from South Korea 9 years ago. And when I immigrated here, I knew zero English. And I mean zero. Like zero, zero. And some people have a hard time understanding how little in English I knew. So I got a really great, accurate representation of it. Watch this. So the letter A wasn't the letter A for me. It was a triangle with two sticks attached to it. And some people have a difficulty with this, this idea of like, how do you not see the letter A as A? It didn't. It was a bunch of shapes for me. In fact, I didn't know the entire alphabet at all. In fact, it was so bad that I was the worst among both my brothers. Yeah, but my older brother, he was a sixth grader when he came here, so he had a little bit of an English education. So he knew kind of what was going on. He knew how to say hi. You know, it was still hard for him. My younger brother, on the other hand, he came here when he was practically like almost like a really young kid. So English became almost his first language. Me, being the middle child, right? Middle child, right? Always stuck in the middle. Always gets the worst. But anyway, I had to deal with the harsh reality of the language barrier very quickly. In fact, I sucked so much that my third grade teacher thought it would be a fantastic idea for me to recite the alphabet in front of the class. And I agreed. I agreed because it sounded like a really great idea. But no, it was one of those things that it was doomed to fail. It was doomed to fail. Sounded great at first, but doomed to fail. So I remember on recitation day walking into class and saying to myself, it's ABC. Not AZD. Yeah, you heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. The last letter of the alphabet was in the second letter of the alphabet. I was so lost. And don't even get me started with the song. I know some of you are looking at me like, did you rehearse the song? No, the song is a different story. You're telling me you have all these different shapes and you want to add music to it? It's a whole dimension of complexity you're telling me to do. But there's probably studies out there where it helps. But yeah, no, the song didn't help me at all. But more importantly, I remember the recitation itself to the T, because it went something like this. I stood on the stage cold and said, A. Am I really doing this in front of people? B. Was it C after this? C. I'm talking to people. D. I can't wait to tell mom and dad. E. Oh my God. I own the world. That's what I was thinking by the letter E. And F. I started to forget the rest of the alphabet. It started to slip. And G. I knew nothing of it. And then H. By this point, as my mind trickled off, I had forgotten the whole entirety of the alphabet. And some of you are thinking, how is this even possible? You know, but remember, it wasn't letters for me. It was shapes. When you're trying to learn all these shapes in one go and recite it, it doesn't work. And it didn't work for me. And I remember just standing there on stage and walking back to class, sobbing. And when I went home, I went to my room, slammed the door on my parents, and I thought, why is this English language so unfair to me? Why is it so unfair? Because I thought it was unfair that I couldn't go out in the playground and talk about the latest, I don't know, Marvel movie or the latest gossip around the school. I thought it was unfair that when we went on a school field trip, I couldn't order my own Subway sandwich because apparently you have to talk to order your sandwich. Oh, inconvenience. I'm just kidding. But most hurtful, what bogged me down the most was this. I thought it was unfair that this language was stopping me from understanding even the teasing of the other people. You know they're teasing you when they're laughing and pointing at you. I felt like I was deaf, but not really, because you hear all the laughters, you hear all the pointers, you hear all the gossips around you. So I decided that I was going to shut the world out of me. Despite the community willing to help me, I said, no, I'm going to figure out a way where I can just make everyone shut up. And I found that solution. And oh boy, it worked 100% of the time. It was a solution that was none like other, and it was this. Oh yeah, you're reading it right. Sleep. I started sleeping in class. I started sleeping. In fact, it got to a point, it got so bad where I would pull all-nighters purposefully, so that I can go to school and fall asleep naturally. And to this day, I remember on parent-teacher conference, I don't know why y'all made parent-teacher conference, why? But I remember going in and my third grade teacher saying, John is a fantastic kid. He has a great smile, he has a great personality, he's amazing. I just wish he didn't sleep in class. And the part is, I did this for 2 years. That's the sad reality of it. 2-3 years, I just took naps. I mean, what's the teacher going to say? What are they going to say? I don't even understand a thing. It wasn't going to hurt my emotion. And I did this for 2 years until one day when I walked into my room to clean out all the clutters, all the junks in my room for years. And I found my alphabet sheet practice papers. And I picked one up, and I unfolded it, and it had the letter A 4 times. Each time improve upon the other. And then it clicked. Something clicked. That, all right, I failed in class pretty bad that one time, but I still learned 8 letters of the alphabet. Then I found hope, a powerful lens that allows you to see good in failure, in challenges, much more. So I went back to class, and I started raising my hand. And although the people around me, the peers around me, made fun of the very, very thick Korean accent I had, in my mind, I just celebrated. I said guacamole right. Yeah, you got that right. I said guacamole right. That's what I started celebrating. And those laughters turned into silences as my questions almost became a tool for them to maybe I can learn something from John's question. I asked that many questions. And in high school, those silences turned into applauses as I took on national leadership position and speaking roles in my high school. I improved upon my accent and I kind of became fluent in English. But all of this was due to hope. Now, you may be asking me, what is this hope, John? I get that you found hope. But more importantly, how do you get it? What is this thing? And that's exactly what I want to share with you today. In my journey as an immigrant and learning this really weird language, and I'll tell you this, English is the weirdest language out there. The structure is really weird. Y'all can agree. But I found 3 different types of hope that helps you from the external world. And I'm going to share it with you. Number 1 is the way we move toward our goals. And this is something I found when I immigrated here very quickly, is we are always looking forward. What do I mean by forward? You're always setting some kind of goal at the very end, that position, that job title, that honor, whatever it is, at the very, very end. Yeah, today I'm going to tell you to stop thinking forward and think backward for 2 seconds. Now, before you cancel me and say, what do you mean, John? What do you mean you're thinking backwards? You don't want to live in the past. You're right, don't live in the past. That's just going to get you depressed. Don't do that. But what I mean by thinking backward for 2 seconds is this. And I'll say it with a statement. The biggest difference between school and life is this. In school, you're given a lesson, and then you take a test. In life, you're given a test, and then you learn a lesson. But we live life as if we're still in school because, well, we're in school most of our life. Well, most of the beginning of our life. So we're always living as this, we're always chasing for something. We're always preparing for something. And at the end, you have this goal, whatever it is. And that's the end for all. And you put this leverage on it, and you fail, you get depressed. You're like, and you say that success or failure somehow determines how I lived my life. That's how you tell yourself. When really, why would you do that? What I mean by think backward is start putting your success, failure, whatever it is, that end thing you always put leverage into your life, put that at the very beginning. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter if it's a success. It doesn't matter if it's a failure. Because what does those job title, tests, who gives those to you? The people around you. And when you let that influence your life, it affects you. But when you're able to flip that and say, oh, that's going to be my beginning. And I had to do this when I immigrated here really fast. Because, oh boy, I was not getting A's, or B's, or C's, or D's. I was getting straight F's. Straight F's. Whatever it was. I was failing the whole entire time. But with hope, I said, okay, I'm going to sit down and put that at the very beginning and move from there. So try that yourself. Start putting whatever job title, whatever it is, those things that you're thinking of at the beginning. And see what happens. Maybe you can find hope through that. Number 2, and this is the different types of goals that you set. We just talked about how we move toward it. I want to talk about the types of goal that we set. And a lot of us have heard of SMART goals. One of your business presentation, maybe one of your school presentation, one of your teacher. They've all said it. Some kind of thing along the line of SMART goals, S-M-A-R-T. And that is exactly why we're going to cancel it and just dump it in the trash. Not that I'm hating on it, but we're going to talk about the 7th why. The 7th why of setting your goals. And this works all the time. And it's best explained with an example. So let's say a kid wants to become a doctor. So you ask the kid, why do you want to become a doctor? And the kid will say this, most kids at least, will say, I want to save lives. So the chest up and everything. And then you ask the kid, well, why do you want to save lives? Why do you want to save lives? And the kid will say, chest up, it has always been a dream of mine to save lives. Wow, yeah. And then you give him the punchline, or she, or her, and then you say, why has it been a dream of yours to save lives? And the kid looks at you dumbfounded. But do you see where I'm going with this? I asked the kid why 3 times, and the kid got stuck, which is quite normal for a lot of the goals that we set. But I call it the 7th why because you have to ask yourself 7 times. Why 7 times in order to get to the core root of the reason why you're trying to achieve that goal. When you get there, you're indestructible. And try that out yourselves. When one of your goals, right now it's March right now. So if you have one of your New Year resolution goals, you better try it because most people quit by January 2nd. So try it out. Like one of the most popular New Year resolution is, I'm pretty sure, I want to be healthier. I want to lose weight. Then you ask yourself, okay, why do you want to lose weight? Oh, I want to be healthy. I want to be healthy because that's why I want to lose weight. Well, why do you want to be healthy? Well, I want to be there for my parents. Why do you want to be there for your parents? I love my mom and dad. And then you ask, why do you love your mom and dad? Ooh. But it went from, why do you want to lose your weight to, why do you love your mom and dad? And some of you may think it's extreme, but it has to go that extreme. It has to be so deeply rooted into your heart that the reason why you want to pursue that dream. And when it is, it doesn't matter what other people tell you, what other people think of you. It doesn't matter. Because you have a solidified reason why you're trying to achieve that goal. And I had to do this when I immigrated here too. I didn't know the term 7th why back then, but I did it. I always ask myself why and why and why. And for me, it basically boiled down to, I'm a Christian, God. That's how I did it. But for you, it might be different. So try it out in your own New Year resolution, whatever it is. And finally, number 3. And you might get annoyed at me, for saying this, but it's really simple. It's probably the simplest one here, is stop thinking. Specifically, stop thinking negatively. Now, when I was making this presentation, I thought maybe I could share some kind of method, some kind of way in order for you to stop thinking so negatively, right? Yeah, and I started thinking, that's just bull crap. If someone comes up to you and tells you, this is exactly the way, this is the rule book in which you're going to find yourself in way you can stop thinking so negatively. Yeah, that's bullcrap. Because everyone has different kinds of anxiety, depression, whatever it is, what they're thinking about. And everyone has a different way of coping it. So I'm no psychologist, whatever it is, so I can't say anything much of it. But this is an important point. And I found this quote from an actor. And I feel like this really encapsulates how I feel sometimes toward negative thoughts and how you might feel toward your negative thoughts. And I want to share it. Is this: sometimes you just want to stop thinking, worrying, looking over your shoulder, wondering, doubting, fearing, hurting, hoping for some easy way out, struggling, grasping, confusing, itching, scratching, mumbling, bumbling, grumbling, humbling, stumbling, numbling, rambling, gambling, tumbling, scrambling, hitching, hatching, bitching, moaning, groaning, honing, boning, horseshitting, hair splitting, nitpicking, piss tricking, nose sticking, ass gouging, eyeball pulling, finger pointing, alleyway snaking, long waiting, small stepping, evil eyeing, back scratching, searching, perching, besmirching, grinding at yourselves. And just do. That felt good. But sometimes we get caught up with the what ifs in our lives. What if this happens to me if I make this decision? What if my parents think of me like this if I make this decision? The what ifs in our lives dictate what we want to do. And I noticed this very quickly when I immigrated here, because to tell you the truth, before I immigrated here, when I was in Korea, I was a storyteller. Ever since I was a very, very little kid, I loved telling stories, talking. That was one of the things I loved. But what happens when you come to a country where you don't even know the language? All that dream gets taken away. My friends started telling me, maybe you should try STEM. You're kind of good at math. Of course, I was better at math back then. Korea's 3 years ahead in mathematics in elementary. I always thought, what if? What if this goes wrong? What if my parents think of me like this? But as soon as I was able to turn that off, rant it all out just like I just did, you start to see a clearer path and you find hope. As I wrap this presentation up, if you were observant, all these three different types of hope protect you from some sort of external world. First one, failure and losses in life. When you think backwards, when you have the ability to think backwards for 2 seconds, it protects you from failures and losses in life. The seventh why protects you from the people around you, when people judge you, when people put you down for your dreams. You have a solidified reason to get back up. And the ability to stop thinking negatively stops and protects from you, your self-criticism, your self-doubt. And all these three different ideas, three different protections, all boil down to this one simple idea of this. Who cares? Really? Come on, who cares? Who cares if you fail? I started thinking, who cares if people think of the way I speak is a little bit weird? Who cares? Who cares if you fall down? Who cares if your dream is so outside the box, outside the horizon? Back when I was a third grader, I still had the dream and still do have the dream to make a living out of just rolling my mouth. Back then, I didn't even know how to write the letter A, but I still had the dream. Who cares? Who cares what other people think of you? Who cares what society puts some kind of name on you? Really? So I ask you, go out there. Do the thing that you so desire in your heart. When you pick it up, it just makes you smile. Try it. You fail, that's okay. That's just your beginning. You buckle down because some people tell you some mean stuff. That's okay. Just remember why you started, your seventh why, and you can get back up. And finally, a storm of negative thoughts rains upon you. Just blurt it all out. Try it. Say it all out. And then it'll go away. Maybe. And go out there and follow your dreams and find your hope. I like to call it the smallest light that defeats the darkest night. Thank you.